Much for being here. I am really excited to just talk about your experience with the verified VIPs. You were a candidate, and after reviewing 60 plus applications for this particular position for my client, you were chosen to move on to the interview process as a candidate. This is an opportunity for you to share what it was like to be a potential candidate on that side for verified VIPs and what your kind of whole experience was. The first question is, what did you think about everything before you and I met? The position, maybe, the instructions, the interview, and the things that were presented about it.
I remember I was scrolling on Threads, I think I saw for the first time, is when I saw your listing on there, and I was looking to add on another client. So I went, and I think you said to go check the Instagram stories. And so that's where you had all the job requirements, what you were looking for, and what the client was looking for, and then the link to apply. I remember being fairly easy and quick. It asked questions that could help you dwindle down who's legit and who's not, who's worth the time to interview. And so I just remember applying from my phone, and I think about a week later I got an update on my status, and then we moved on from there.
How did you feel during the interview process when we met? What was that experience like for you?
I was a little nervous. Usually I just do client on client interviews or just like meet greets kind of to see if we're a good fit. So it was the first time I ever, probably in the last like 6 months, ever met on one with like someone interviewing me. But it felt really like a conversation because like that's what you started with. And I appreciated I remember one thing that stood out to me was like the depth you looked into my website. And I was just like, that's so personal that sometimes I feel like people don't even kind of look across your website. So I did appreciate that. And it felt like it wasn't just like okay, marked off the checklist. It felt a lot more personal. And then I knew that you already did the research on me. So it kind of just took away a lot of the nerves as well, because I knew that there was already that baseline of like, okay, she seems competent enough to be interviewed. So the scaredness of like that was already eliminated. So it felt a lot more like a conversation to see, not even is she qualified, is she a good fit for the client?
Any thoughts after we interviewed? How did you feel about how the interview went?
I felt like it went really well, but I saw how many people were commenting on Threads posts and how much interaction it was getting. I wasn't too, I got that, because I know there's like a lot of people that do the same thing as me out there. And so I knew that after it wasn't so much of is she qualified interview, it's more of a is she a good fit for the client interview. And so since you don't know much about the client at all, you don't know if you're a good fit or not for that client. And that's like up to you to decide and help the client decide. So it was more of if this is supposed to be a good fit for me, then it will be. And if it's not, then like it's okay, because now I still have that connection with Stacy if something else does open up down the line. That's kind of how I felt afterwards.
What advice would you give to somebody who had just applied for a position, maybe for verified VIPs? They saw my post and was about to go through the process with me, the interview process. What would you tell them?
Definitely worth applying. Sometimes when you're scrolling and scrolling, you see all these openings, you feel like they might not be real. I did appreciate how you were timely with everything. And also, like, you help people know their status. So it felt, even if you didn't get the position, it still felt worth your time. And also to make that connection with you, since you do all the VIP days with these clients, could be a better fit down the line. So it's always great to like keep that connection open. And it's just great experience to just kind of interview and just kind of get your name out there. If you never applied, then you're never going to get anything. So I think it was a good experience, whether I got it or not.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? What value do you see in verified VIPs as a service, whether you're an applicant or my client? You just mentioned obviously being connected to me, which is wonderful, but what kind of value do you see from either end?
I've been on every freelance platform there really is. And I mean, if you just search one thing, you're going to get thousands of different people that all offer the same service. And it's hard to kind of narrow that down. And then sometimes if you don't like do enough, you don't know what to ask the client or the freelancer or anything like that, you're not going to know if they're a good fit for you or not. So having someone that has the experience in asking the questions that you need to know if that freelancer is going to be a good fit for you, and then also taking the time to do the research on their websites or their freelance profiles, that's a lot of time, especially when you get 60 plus applicants. You have to sort through every single one of those, and that takes time, whether you feel like it's an easy task or not. And so I feel like the amount of time it takes to sort through, and then also to have the connections to like the qualified candidates is also really important. And it helps you keep off those freelance websites too, because those cost you money as a client on that website. And then there's just a lot of upkeep, making sure like your card's uploaded in there. Like I know there's tons of payment problems that I've had in the past on those platforms. So being able to take the relationship off the platform while still having qualified candidates is really important.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else you would like to add about your experience, about me, or anything you learned from it or about me?
Just think this service is really cool, honestly, because like this past year, I challenged myself to hop off those freelance platforms because I feel like they're not super beneficial to like long lasting relationships. And so being able to like be able to communicate with a client however we best seem fit instead of relying on an app or a website that we have to use, even if it's not user friendly, can get annoying because like you might have your reminders off and you can't communicate with your client, and then they take a portion from you. And I believe they also charge the client for posting a job on there too. And so it's just once you get off those platforms, you don't realize how annoying those platforms can be. And they really do ruin. I love working with clients how we best seem fit instead of doing what we have to do because we've been on that platform. So this service, I never knew it existed out there, but I definitely see the need for it, and I was really happy to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Leilah. I appreciate your time today.